Hello there and welcome back to the channel. Haha, I got a good one for you today because I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite horror movies that you can stream on HBO Max. Now, HBO Max is my go-to streaming service because I just feel like it has the best selection of content, which is why this list is just going to be about HBO Max. But before I begin, I just want to say this is all like my top 10. It's opinionated, alright? So like and subscribe and give me ideas for movie videos in the future. Okay, let's start. Number 10. Freddy vs. Jason. Even though this movie is at the number 10 spot, I do really like this movie, but mainly for the last hour of it. The characters are fine and the story itself is okay, I guess. Even with an alright story and good enough characters, that's not what you're here for. You're here for two of the biggest icons, not just in horror, but in pop culture in general, beating the ever-living crap out of each other. The final fight in this movie, like the last 20 minutes or so, is enough for me to still consider it one of my favorite horror movies. You got Jason slamming Freddy through windows, Freddy slashing the hell out of Jason with his finger knives. Just so much action and outrageous stunts happening. My personal favorite scene would have to be when an explosion at Crystal Lake freaking launches a flaming Freddy and Jason into the water. Although the movie can feel 100% goofy at times, it's still an enjoyable movie with a kick-ass finale. Oh, and by the way, the whole Freddy hates fire and Jason hates water crap, no, nah, get that out of here. Like, what are we doing? Number 9, The Collection. I feel like out of all the movies on this list, this one will be the least well known, which is a shame. I kind of forgot about this movie until I decided to rewatch it for this video, and I'm glad I did. This is a sequel to The Collector, and I would have watched that one, but this video is about HBO Max, and, well, it wasn't on there. You definitely don't need to see that one, though, in order to understand this one. I feel like this movie is really underrated and not talked about enough. From the opening club scene with that crazy rotating, like, I don't know, looks like farmer tools. Oh my gosh, that club scene is just gruesome and amazing. And then the inside of the Collector's massive hotel-esque building full of traps, weird bug-like human statues, and borderline zombies. The returning main character, Arkin, has to help a team of mercenaries find a girl that the Collector has taken. That's his thing, by the way. He's a collector, he collects people. Anyways, I had a blast watching this, and the shot of him with his dogs when he finds the group looking for the girl, so damn cool. I hope more people go check this movie out because it's such a solid movie that keeps you entertained throughout its runtime. Number 9, Annabelle Creation. This freaking movie, bro. I was never a fan of haunted or like conjured spirit movies, but this summer, I watched all of the movies in the Conjuring universe, and Annabelle Creation really grabbed my attention. The beginning has a nice, wholesome family just doing their thing, you know? Mom, dad, their daughter, Annabelle. And spoiler alert for the next, 5 seconds. The dad is fixing a tire near the road, and the girl runs out and gets hit by a freaking car. The first time I watched this movie, my jaw dropped and my eyes went really wide for a solid 3 minutes. This movie just immediately established that it was not gonna fuck around. It's your typical Conjuring / Annabelle movie with spooky shenanigans and all that stuff going down, but it doesn't matter how many times I've seen this go down. There's so many spooks and scares that it almost makes me want to cover this movie all by itself so I can list them all. The Conjuring series does a great job of making you feel unsettled, and Annabelle Creation is one of my top picks from the franchise. Number 7. Friday the 13th, 2009. Movie reboots and remakes can be hard to get right, and not all of them are better or even on par with the original, but the 2009 Friday the 13th was such a step up from the rest of the series. While Friday the 13th is an iconic franchise, the earlier movies were all cookie-cutter slashers with only a couple standout movies. Important note, real quick, it's been a while since I've seen all the Friday movies, and especially the older ones, so this is just my thoughts from when I last remember watching, okay? Does that make sense? The Friday the 13th reboot is way more action-packed and has a story that I thought was pretty interesting. Like, the first 30 minutes is basic Friday stuff, a bunch of people near the camp getting killed, but that's just a lead up to the actual story with our main character Clay looking for his missing sister who is part of the original group in that beginning scene. A very big part of why I enjoy this movie so much is Jason himself. Jason has always been cool and real badass, but felt kind of slow and just casually kills off people at Crystal Lake. In this movie, however, Jason is a vengeance-seeking mad lad. Like I said, Jason's always been cool and a badass, but this version of Jason is so fast-paced and pissed. He's like a hunter who thinks about every move he makes and even sets up traps. This Friday the 13th has all that it needs to be a good Friday movie and is one of my favorites in the whole Friday the 13th franchise. Number 6. I Am Legend. There's one thing that really makes me love this movie. Will freaking Smith. His performance in this is so incredible, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since I rewatched this movie recently. It's a Last Man on Earth kind of movie with mutant humans, and Will Smith acts his ass off in this. From wholesome moments with his German Shepherd Sam and chatting with his mannequin buddies, to breaking down and realizing that he may never find a cure for the virus and that he's all alone. I can't really think of anything bad to say about this movie because it's just so damn good, and it's so good at balancing horror and its ability to hit you right in the feels. If you haven't seen this movie, I definitely suggest you seek this one out. Number 5, The Conjuring 2. I said earlier I wasn't a huge fan of movies based on ghosts and possessions and conjured spirits, all that stuff. But this movie right here is what got me to check out the rest of the Conjuring movies. I think I prefer this one over the first Conjuring, which is good also, but this one never feels like it's moving too slow, which I felt the first one was a little slow in the beginning, but hey, that's just me. The Conjuring 2 also had multiple demonic forms by Valak, like the nun and my favorite, the Crooked Man. The Crooked Man scene from The Conjuring 2 always gets me hyped every time I watch it. If they ever do make a movie centered around him, like for example The Nun, then you bet your ass I'll be all over it. Another huge reason why I love The Conjuring in general is Ed and Lorraine Warren. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga have such good chemistry and are great throughout every Conjuring movie. Number 4, It 2017. Speaking of chemistry, the cast of It 2017 really made it something special. I really like the 1990 It miniseries, but with better effects and updated technology for that movie magic, It 2017 was able to do things the 1990 It couldn't. The opening scene where Pennywise first meets Georgie in the sewer still gives me that holy crap factor, and I just think the entire movie is laid out extremely well. I'm pretty sure this was the first horror movie I ever saw in theaters, and it's left a lasting impression on me, so maybe that's why it's so high up on my list. The scares are there, and like I said earlier, the cast is fantastic, and I know Tim Curry's Pennywise is super great, but oh my gosh, Bill Skarsgård knocked it out of the park with his version of Pennywise. His movements, his look, his voice, just the overall presentation. Just talking about it, I still remember how hyped I was when the first trailer for the movie dropped. I'm pretty sure almost anyone watching this has either seen it, get it, or has watched numerous clips from the movie, but if you haven't, you totally should. Number 3, Evil Dead 2. Originally, this spot was going to be Malignant, but that movie just left HBO Max October 10th, so I just wanted to give it a little shout out here. It's such a good movie. If you haven't seen my review on it, go check it out. It's on my channel. Go watch it. Anyways, Evil Dead 2 is a totally bonkers movie. It's a comedy/horror movie almost because of how ridiculous the movie gets. Tons of blood spewing from the wall, creepy deadites tormenting poor Ash, and even Ash himself becomes a deadite at times throughout the movie. In the beginning, it recaps the first Evil Dead, but with some changes, so it's almost fine as a standalone film instead of a sequel. The effects and design of everything in this movie are so good in their own little way. There's not even that much to the movie, if I'm being honest. It's just a wild ride with crazy things happening. Ash's girlfriend, who turns into a deadite, chases him with the chainsaw in probably my favorite scene from the whole movie. Then Ash going insane and laughing and dancing with all the props in the cabin. Then there's Ash attaching a freaking chainsaw to his arm when he had to cut off his hand. This movie is a bit unsettling at times, and I love it. Even if you aren't the biggest horror fan, this movie is still a very fun watch, and I recommend you go and check it out. Number 2, Freaky. I love this fucking movie. A horror twist on Freaky Friday where a normal, quiet high schooler named Millie, played by Katherine Newton, swaps bodies with a slasher who goes by the Blissfield Butcher, which is played by none other than Vince freaking Vaughn, who is one of my favorite actors. The Butcher stabs Millie with a mythical dagger, and that's how they swap bodies. Both Newton and Vaughn do an amazing job of copying each other's movements. Seeing Vince Vaughn act and talk like a high school girl puts the biggest goddamn smile on my face every time he's in a scene. And Katherine Newton is so great at being a badass slasher, who, by the way, gets some of the best kills I've seen in any horror movie. I could probably go on and on about the many things I love about this movie, like Millie's friends Josh and Nyla, plus the scene where Booker gets tangled up in the whole body swapping situation that's going down. Freaky would probably be number 1 on my list if number 1 itself wasn't such a gosh darn classic. Number 1 is A Nightmare on Elm Street. If you know me, you know that Freddy Krueger is my favorite horror character. Freddy Krueger is that finger knife slashing, joke cracking, bitch calling man of all our dreams. Plus he's got drip too. I mean, look at that dang sweater. While some of the Elm Street movies go off the rails in the later parts of the franchise, the original is a true gem in the horror genre. A group of friends, which includes a 21-year-old Johnny Depp and legendary final girl Nancy, who's played by Heather Langenkamp, are targeted by a slasher in their very own dreams. Hats off to Robert Englund as well. It's Englund's performance that makes Freddy so iconic, and also Wes Craven's idea to make a different kind of slasher movie, something unique and not seen before. Comedy and horror are my two favorite genres, so a goofy yet terrifying killer who also loves a good laugh is right up my alley. The kills are another reason I love this movie so much, because they're so dang memorable. From Tina being yeeted around her bedroom, to Glenn getting pulled through his bed and a fountain of blood just erupting from the bed. Throughout the years, I've watched more and more movies from the horror genre, but A Nightmare on Elm Street still remains at the top for me. And there you have it! It's done! It's over with! I had to rewatch a lot of these movies just so I can get my rankings to my liking. It was a real hard list to make too, because a lot of these movies could probably switch places with one another. Regardless of the order though, the bottom line is it's spooky season, and these movies are some you should 100% check out because they're really freaking good. This video will probably be coming out at the tail end of October, but I planned on doing this video for a while now, and HBO Max is always cycling out movies each month, so some of these might not be on here if you're watching after October. Until next time though, let me know what your favorite horror movies are, and, let me know some movies you'd like me to cover on the channel in some kind of silly video. But until then, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you later.